staff and faculty. And this shelter in place order sounds so finite. That's it. Is there, leeway for
Hi, guys.
students and faculty to?
The background you're hearing is KTLA Channel 5, Los Angeles. Malibu Canyon's up in smoke again. 2:41 in the morning, West Coast time. It's the 10th of December, 2021. On the phone right now is Michael Ferrer from Pepperdine, PIO, Public Information Officer. O'clock, Malibu Canyon went up. Started a small fire. Now it's over 800 to 825, according to CAL FIRE, and increasing.
Very good. All right. Michael, if there's anything you'd like to say to viewers, to your student body, faculty that might be watching right now, please give your message.
We continue to monitor the situation and are in close coordination with Los Angeles County Fire. There are numerous crews on the campus to ensure the safety of our community. We are grateful for LA County Fire and all their resources, and we are ensuring that the safety of our residents is our top priority in this time, and we appreciate our community for working closely with us, responding to our request to shelter in place, and all the cooperation that has occurred over this evening. And so we continue to monitor the situation, and we'll continue to communicate in all forms via email and text message, calls, and on social media.
Michael Friel, Pepperdine Public Information Officer, good of you to join us at this hour in the morning. I know it's been a tough night, and for many of the residents there in Malibu, especially there also at Pepperdine, where you have quite a large population of at least 3,000 people, and so they are sheltering in place, and that is the directive from Pepperdine at this hour at 2:43 in the morning, and they are going to stand by that. So, Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. It is 2:43 in the morning. This fire has been burning starting at 10:45, and it's time now for me to turn my attention to my colleague, Miss Lauren Lister, who's going to take over now and deal with this 853-acre brush fire.
Yeah.
And, as it rages on. So over to you.
All right, Cher, thank you so much. A really tough night for so many in Malibu as we continue to monitor this quickly growing fire, this wind-driven fire. Sky 5, you can see overhead above the flames that are burning in Malibu. Let's go up to Rich Prickett to see what's the latest from above. Hi, Rich.
It's a torch job.
We'll come back to Rich in a moment when we have him, but you can see the flames burning right now. We are live overhead, and you can see the concern with the brush there and the winds that are blowing. Now, we have heard that there have been structures that have been burned in this fire, but we don't have confirmation of how many. We have some preliminary reports on that. We know there are evacuation orders in place in the Sarah Retreat area. Also, Pepperdine under an evacuation order, but as we just heard from Pepperdine school officials, they have a protocol to shelter in place that is.
They've got a fire line that looks pretty damn ugly.
Everybody there. Now, this
it's called a Frank.
Just before 11 o'clock last night, we know that this was during a very difficult time with regard to conditions. We knew we were facing. Vera Jimenez is still in studio. Vera, maybe you could talk a little bit about this was a unique red flag warning. It was a particularly dangerous situation warning, correct? Which is rare.
That is correct. And yes, these
tend to be rare. They don't issue them very often. In fact, they didn't start issuing them until 2020, and not many have been issued, but unfortunately, we had one issued last month at the beginning of November. And now, as you remember, we had a big fire in Ventura, the mountain fire. So there was that. But these conditions are going to be with us until about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Once the PDS, if it does expire on time when it's supposed to, when the winds begin to diminish, we are still going to be left with the red flag warning. So we're not going to be quite done with it. The red flag warning that will remain in place will be for winds that are still within the red flag warning criteria, but not quite as strong. Right now, that particularly dangerous situation was issued because wind speeds are going to reach upwards of 50 to perhaps maybe even 80 miles per hour. During the November event that we had last month, we certainly reached 80 mile per hour and even more than that in some areas. They are going to see the possibility again of these winds. At the moment, I've been looking around. I was just getting an update because remember, this red flag event is going to be widespread. The particularly dangerous situation is only for the northwestern end of the viewing area, which is Ventura, Los Angeles, and a small part of Santa Barbara County. The wind speeds right now in Chino Hills, for example, outside of the warning area, have already reached 65 miles per hour this morning. Chilea, which is in the National Forest, Angeles National Forest, 61 miles per hour. So we're starting to see those winds get stronger. As I was mentioning earlier to share while we were on the air together, is that generally speaking, the winds get a little stronger right before the sun comes out. We start to see a temperature change, and that, remember, is going to generate winds. Anytime we have a temperature drop or a temperature increase, it generates a shift in the winds. And so right before the sun comes out, we are anticipating that shift in the wind, and that is probably going to mean an increase. So that right now is my biggest concern, is what is going to happen in those early morning hours when the sun is about to come up, and we're going to start to see the sun warm up the atmosphere, and with that, we're going to see a reduction in the relative humidity values, especially if the winds get stronger. The other part of this equation, Lauren, is the moisture in the fuels. It's what we call the fuel content, the moisture in the fuels.
All right, if you guys are on your own local feed out here in the West Coast, check out KTLA. Check out Fox. Good Day Fox. It's the LA market that you need to check into. I'm posting on my community page a few links that you'll need.
The winds will continue to diminish, but they won't. The last of the red flag warnings will not expire until Wednesday in the afternoon, maybe as late as 6 p.m. And the reason for that is because even when the winds aren't in progress, the fact that we still have low relative humidity and that we have a lot of moisture, a lack of moisture in the fuels is still enough of a combination to where we will see the conditions that are going to be conducive for rapid growth and rapid spread. This is primarily a wind-driven fire because of how strong they are, but the other part of this picture for you, Lauren, as you move through the morning and you continue to talk about this, is that the fuel out there is plentiful. We are in the second month, actually going into the third month of the water season, and we've only had 2 minor rain events. So in terms of our water year, we are extremely below where we should be, and we have seen a lot of warm weather.
Well, Ian, you too. Surviving these days. Turn this thing down. On my Amazon pad, I've been. This is going to be breaking trademark things, but that's what I've been keeping track of the fire for last half hour.
In terms of how fast and how much and how quick this fire will continue to spread into daylight.
And they'll be keeping up on this thing. It's 0% containment right now, so it's driving me nuts. I'm not giving up on anything just yet, Ian. I'm not. Some days and some winter, holidays get to me, and you know, last 10 years has been a pain in the ass. But hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. My dog usually keeps me up at this time of the night. She'll be wandering and she'll be whining for attention at this point. Right now she's sleeping and hopefully buried under the covers. So I'm worried about that dog of mine. But when I get into fire situations like this, when I'm seeing and hearing stuff like this gets me in a fire mode. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a fire season all your life. I have. Living in Southern California, we're under earthquake constant and fire watch more so. I joked a long time ago growing up as a kid and told people that we had 4 seasons out here in California. We had fire, floods, quakes, and riots, not all in all that order. And the fires we'd seen more and more. Now, right now, they're doing an emergency alert test on the Amazon system. It's a required weekly test to drive people crazy out here in Kern County. So it's going to be screaming its head off right now. But yeah, I grew up under fire season. Most of my life is living out in San Fernando Valley now. Rio de Janeiro. Wow, that's a long distance. Long distance from California. Yeah, but I've had about, let's see, I'm 58, I've had about nearly 58 years of fire. It still gets to you. Yeah, anxious, stressed out. Oh, yeah, not to mention lung pollution. Lung pollution. And if you've got MapQuest or if you've got Google Maps, I usually say this to people on the channel, if they'd be so kind to go to the doctrine of the Google Maps. In this way, I'm pulling up some information about my own area here. It automatically defaults because that's where my home location is. But I would ask for you to type in Malibu Canyon because I'll be showing you certain areas of that territory. And I've also got to get the layers on this one regarding the maps. I need to fire where they've got it charted. There we go. All right, pal, where you got it? Where you got it? Don't mind me when I start talking to myself like this because I'm still focusing on where they've got the point conception. I don't need that. What I do need, here we go, the Franklin fires where I needed to look at. Okay, so once I get close up, and I'll be looking at some of the areas where they've got to close down. Malibu Canyon shut down normally. It's going to be affecting the Ventura Freeway at this point. Yeah, Malibu Canyon, Calabasas area. They got road closures up and down the street on that one. Sometimes, if I get the dotted information on here, I can actually see where they got the fires on here. Now, the one thing on one of my laps I'm working on right now, it doesn't give me the information necessary, and they haven't got it quite loaded up in there where the fire is actually located. Sometimes Google will give me a little bit more information just by road closures, but every time there was a major fire, I always have to go to these particular programs over here to keep me up to speed what's going on. Yeah, Calabasas, California. The canyon areas used to go up in flames like crazy. I used to live in the San Fernando Valley for about 38 years, and I'd seen all that area go up in smoke. All around the rims, all around the Southern California region. If I was looking at the entire region of Southern California, I lost count how many fire names we've had up and down the strip here. I mean, we've had it up in the San Bernardino, Angeles National Forest regions, Malibu Canyon, uh, a little mountain regions up here and there. That when the wind conditions are right, when the weather conditions are really screwed up, the heat comes in, the wind comes in, we get fire season left to right, and it just goes nuts. And I can't tell you that when you're living in a bowl most of your life, what kind of health conditions do you get from this thing in the first place? Especially when the wind's going to blow the smoke right into your area over there that you had to hide in, hide in your buildings there, and probably you're not going to be breathing into masks. So I'd have to, I'd have to watch it during those days. And yeah, I've seen portions each year, each season, go up in flames all around my valley, in different portions of it in the mountain regions. Simi Valley would go up, and I'd see it. I'd see that go up. I'd see Porter Ranch and Granada Hills go up many decades ago, and that scared the living daylights out of me. Every time there was a fire around the bowl of the San Fernando Valley, it was always rising my temperature up, and everything else in me that I just couldn't deal with it. Now, this is not because of the damn viral bug we actually had to turn into a pandemic. I'm keeping this with me just in case we get any fire. I need a little bit of breathing room just in case. So it helps. No, no, thank God, because I had been living in areas deep in residential territories where I didn't have to evacuate just yet. Not quite sure if you had either. Yeah. Living in the San Fernando Valley, I was living in different portions of the territory. Little areas like North Hollywood and Van Nuys. No, not Van Nuys. Bit of Granada Hills. Reseda. They called it Sepulveda at one time, but it was North Hills. So it just currently it would be considered a safe area. It would be considered a safe area. Probably direct you over to the map again, but look for the wedge. Look for the desert wedge above. Welcome to the Antelope Valley. Well, so much for the presentation there. uh, I moved out there in 2005 with my family. We couldn't afford to rent out in the San Fernando Valley. It got too damn expensive, and we couldn't find a place to have three people and three dogs. But we got suckered into a place out in Palmdale, California, and our adventure took off from there. Lived out in Palmdale for a few other areas. Moved over to Lancaster, which was further north. And then, well, Ma passed away back in 2018. Show you something here. Yeah, picture of the portrait of the family right there. Yeah, me and my big brother moved out to Roseman. I'm still out here. He passed away in 2018, and I haven't gone anywhere else. I'm okay for right now in this particular place. As for the fires that we've actually had along the southern rim of the Antelope Valley, that's a different story altogether. About was it 2005, 2006, 2007, somewhere in that area. We actually had some fires up in the rim area. San Bernardino would go up and smoke up there. The Angeles Forest area would go up and smoke. But when it's on the desert side of it, that's the thing that really got to me because there's a lot of area in the desert that we have scrub and we have brush. And when it hits into that area, it spreads lightning fast. Now we've got several units out here, in LA County, to cover that sector, but it still gets lit up left and right. We haven't had a fire out here um, in nearly a year, and I'm grateful for that one. So, uh, somewhat of a safe area, yeah. I'll show you where Roseman is. You see the desert? Do you see that angular desert pattern, the splotches of it? We're right next to Edwards Air Force Base, town called Roseman, California. You blink, you miss it on the 14 freeway. And we don't have that much fire problems, except every time I kept looking at the hillside and the scrub brush outside of my home. Yeah, we have fire area, but we haven't had it lit up yet. The residents out here have been careful enough to where we hadn't had that much fire. But that being said, I contradict myself because we have fireworks happening. On the fire um, layer for the Google Maps, if I get close enough to my own town, I can see different areas that look brownish, which meant that was an area that got affected by fire. Now I'm on the east side of the 14 freeway, sandwiched between the airbase and the 14 freeway. Once in a great while, we do get fire out there. Somebody will be screwing up with the fireworks, and then all hell breaks loose, except for this past July 4th. Kids will be kids, and kids will be stupid. Show you something. On the Google Maps, if you happen to go for Roseman and you happen to see the street called Roseman Boulevard, now it cuts off a little bit of the desert flat sandy gritty area that you see there. You can scroll to the edge where humanity is. I'll show you where home is. And I'll show you where we actually had a fire. Boys and girls. The street's called United in Roseman. It's an apartment complex. On the northeast side of the complex, there's a pit. It's a drainage pit. When we actually do get water coming through, it starts to flood out the area of the apartment, usually in the center area. Everything gets dumped into a pit through tunnels, little tiny tunnels. But the pit has growth. It has growth in it. And once this growth gets to be dried out, say hello to fire. I've been here for nearly 10 years. I've been here for nearly 10 years. It's a good long time in this apartment complex. I kind of like it. A few people come and go, but the rest of it look at it as long-term housing. But I had yet to see in my lifetime that area go up in smoke, except this July 4th and July 5th. There was a party. Kids were having fun. Adults were having fun. And somehow the area got visited by a skyrocket that went errant. And then the fire alarms went off, and people were running, trying to get the fire extinguishers. And there's one thing about an apartment complex: they don't know how to use a fire extinguisher. They don't. Ugh, that's what I'm always afraid of in the dry seasons, including even the wet seasons, whether or not we're actually going to get dry or not. Past several years, we've been having droughts out here in California, and I worried more about the area happening outside of the apartment complex. Have you looked at the landscape on that one? Did you look at the landscape? Now, this was about several months ago. This picture was taken. We still have a lot of that brush and scrub out there. Take a wider shot, and you'll see how much of it I'm surrounded by. You talk about fear and phobia concerning about fire. Oh boy. Oh boy. We have one season. We have a fire season. If we ever get any rain, we have a flood season. We constantly have an earthquake season because geology is a constant motion here of the Earth's crust. But the other one I made a joke about, a man-made season of that sort, back in '92, we actually had a major riot that tore apart city of Los Angeles and portions of LA County. It's called the Rodney King trials. It's on Wikipedia, and it'll show you and explain what happened and all the tension that broke loose and all hell broke loose. And besides, LA had another one earlier on back in the '60s as well, civil rights movement. So yeah, we've been prone to maybe a few riots here and there, but mostly it's the fire season that gets to us. It's flash flooding, which follows fire season. And then we have earthquakes, which scares the crap out of people. And if you're living in a geologically active area, it'll scare the living daylights out of you too, pal. So yeah, that's our lot in life in California here. What's going on? Um, they're still going to be talking about it for hours on end. I just wanted to get this thing updated to let people know that LA is going up in smoke again because of Santa Ana conditions. Every time we have the Santa Ana conditions, they are the winds blowing from east to west. Pressure gradients are pushing that. And if we get temperature, we'll get hot Santa Ana winds. During the wintertime, we get cold, sometimes moist, but mostly dry desert air going through the deserts, through the canyons, and onto the coastline. And that's normally where we're having fires, is basically through the mountains, canyons, and everything else going on. A wind gust kick in into something, a spark something, and then all hell breaks loose. So I feel for the people over in Malibu. I've been there many times in my lifetime. Uh, Me and my brother have been doing traversing in all of our lifetime, and he liked to drive. I like to be a passenger. I hate driving. Nightmare out here in LA. Traffic, both street and freeway. But there have been portions of that town that we drive through um, just for kicks and just for sightseeing. And they're always going through fire. They're always going through fire. Uh, Currently, right now, Pepperdine University is on alert. It's one of our smaller universities that we have out here. And I'm hoping the students get out of there okay. I'm hoping they'll be hunkered down okay. So, free from snow, quakes, hurricanes, volcanoes. Well, aren't you special? Aren't you special down there in Brazil? I hate to tell you something, but you haven't noticed quakes all that much, have you? Yeah. And go on to a USGS map, look on a shake map, and see what's going on. You ever studied geology, you'll understand that the Earth is sometimes called as an eggshell, and that um, we have quakes. Now, on the shake map they've got for the USGS government, it'll show you whether or not if a lot of the areas have been having earthquakes or not. There's an interactive map on one of their sites. I know most of the operation is usually in the Pacific Rim of Fire. And yeah, it did show the major one we had out here off the coast of Northern California. We didn't feel it out here in Los Angeles because we're Southern California, but we're still along the San Andreas fault line. As for you guys, looking at. Now let me see if I can get this thing settled down a bit. You guys have been too quiet out there in Brazil, but you've had some quakes and some quakes along some certain fault lines out there. Paraguay. Take that back. Take that back. Take it back. Hold on. Wait a minute. If there were going to be any shaking, it'd be on the East Coast, right along the Continental Divide, right there. Caribbean would get a few quakes here and there, but yeah. Let me switch this map. Let me switch the viewpoint on this thing. Okay. Switch over to Google Maps. Scrolling on down. Temperate. Mild. And uplift. Yeah, that's what happens. I hate to say it, but you haven't had a quake in a hell of a long while, but you're going to be. You got quake zones. Now, just looking at a geologic map, I'm looking for, uh, looking at USGS, they got fault lines on the west coast of South America. And it's Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Argentina, Chile. They're, they got about 2 or 3 fault lines in the area. But you guys should have been getting earthquakes. Probably not recently, but probably in the past you probably have without you realizing it. I'm looking at the geography off of one map, and I'm looking at the mountains. Mountains usually caused by geologic activity at that point. So you're lucky because the hurricanes are not in your territory. I haven't heard any storm systems coming through your area at all. Yes, you are lucky about that one. Volcanoes, uh, I see a lot of uplift on those mountains over there. Whether you got volcanoes or not, that's going to be further research on that one there, pal. Well, it is worth moving. Keep this in mind that in Geology 101, and I had taken a couple of community college courses for this one here. We're an eggshell. We're a broken eggshell on this planet. And they move constantly. They go up, they go down. They move side to side. Um, we have subduction zones, which one old fault would be over here, and another fault line would just go underneath. It would cause a lot of pressure, heat, and there would be activity in this area. There would be ground movement. There would be um, molten magma uplift going up. And you would see mountains being formed because of the uplift. Sometimes in the area where I've noticed about India, how the Himalayas are getting higher and higher, that's because you've got one uh, fault, actually, you've got one plate shoving itself into another plate to make the mountains higher. There could be some inactive volcanoes in Brazil. I don't know. I haven't studied that area specifically enough. Now, concerning about the hurricanes, as much as I understand about it, more of the energy is being held is right along the middle Atlantic, uh, mid latitudes, and upwards. I mean, you have more of the major storms. I know that we get typhoons in the Pacific, but I hadn't heard any major. Well, actually, I did because we do get typhoons on the Pacific range. I'm not quite so sure about the Atlantic range. Haven't come across news stories of any major stories, actually major storms happening in the southern regions. There's a lot of the earth I don't know about, and I'm ignorant on that one. But bad weather, of course, to cause damage from yeah. Well, you're lucky. Amazon wasn't a huge forest, man. So right now, it's still not going to be a huge forest. Man just doesn't know how to do anything right without destroying things left and right. That's my own personal opinion. We like to change too many things in nature that we need more and more of. And the more we take, the more we don't give back to the good old earth. I've been noticing that too much in my lifetime. Too much argument, too much politics, and God knows everything else. Oh, good Lord, I just opened up another Pandora's box. Sorry about that one. Yeah, it's that kind of a morning already. It's about 3:16 in the morning. I'm not even wide awake yet. But when I heard about the fire situation happening in Malibu, that's the thing that was just driving me crazy is the fears and phobias. Most when I'm doing my channel, mostly when I'm doing my channel, it's originally for an emotional lifeboat of mine. After going through a hell of a lot of crap throughout most of my life, I had to have some kind of format to talk about my life stories just from my own memory box. If I happen to get into a situation where I'm going to be losing my mind and memories, I needed to have a memory box. And then it took out, it took off. Talking about family, talking about mourning, talking about grieving, talking about losing people left and right, how it affected me a great deal, what my memories were, just in case. And other things popped up, and I started talking about stuff like that. So the past 2 or 3 years, I've been going like blah, 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 like crazy with word salad half the time. And I really tried not to show all the deep emotional crying like I've seen other people try to do, like they want to hug the camera. That stuff I turn the cameras off and go private and get it out and come back and talk some more about it. I get more and more comfortable with the camera than I am anything else these days. We didn't have this technology a long time. I mean, we actually had the video tapes, but you would share your camera and your eight millimeter reels to people left and right, your VHSCs, your Betamaxes and stuff like that, your Sony tapes. When it came out for the digital, oh, everything else went out the trash can on that one. So now it's all zeros and ones. Zeros and ones that last for a point, and after that, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, politics happen, and yeah, you talk about that insanity there. Mankind's invented insanity, but then you talk about a nightmarish plague that trying to decimate the world. Nature's reminder that she's in charge and not me. Yeah, so when the old COVID kicked in, we really had to do the digital, didn't we? All the videos about this, about that. I was keeping track of the cruise industry because I still like to cruise. I still like going on a cruise ship, but I've only been on it one time and I still haven't been able to get rid of the damn cruise bugging me. So, and I watched all these people freaking out about the cruise ship industry going sunk, and it didn't. It's coming back and getting more money out of people's pocket for limited stuff they can do on their boats. Yeah. And you get the word salad from everybody else, one in their own political viewpoints, one in their own soapbox. And I'm like, terrific. I really need to hear and do this shit. That'd be. I rarely do the news feeds like live. I'll do the tape stuff to other people. I discovered that there's a church without walls on YouTube. You got a Reverend Ed Trivers out there that does the thing. He's Episcopalian. He's out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. He's got a large group. Nice, friendly group, too. He covers a lot of things, and he's not brainwashing people like I've seen other people saying with the finger pointing at everybody else, or doing all the hand waves and saying, "You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that." La, 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 la. And I'm thinking like, "Oh, shut up! What's the next channel?" Turn the next channel, I get the zeros and ones locking me on this one, saying, "Now you got to watch this particular person going. Wow, we got this, we got that. You got it paramedic and la 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 la." I'm like, next channel, please. So it's a constant fighting on the YouTube channels on that one. I got my own Facebook out there. And yeah, I post a hell of a lot of stuff that drives people crazy, especially when I go through the emotional stuff going on. People don't realize that when you're talking about grieving and mourning, you're dealing with a hell of a lot of depressional stuff. You're dealing with a lot of loss of life that means a great deal because you've invested interest, you've invested yourself into it. And that's what I've done. Every time I'm trying to do a camera shot on this one, it's always the cabinet because up here is my family. I got my dogs, I got Ma, and I got my brother, big brother in there. And it's a constant reminder of what the channel means to me specifically. I may not be on there all the time for live feeds like everybody else wants to get their more minutes of fame. I'm just doing the videotapes when I can. And I'm also chewing up a hell of a lot of flash drives. But that being said, I'm hanging in there. That's the only thing I know how to do is hang in there. Yeah, I got conversations with other people, but when it comes down for live people, they don't like to talk to me very much. I don't know. They avoid me like the plague. Now the thing is, when they knew that my brother had passed, at first maybe I had a few people trying to contact me, and it's like spreading apart. So I'm like, okay, there's the support right there going hell in a handbasket right there. And yeah, got me pissed off. They got me angry about it at first, but then I'm like, okay, it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. So, and yeah, I've got other people to talk to about this one, clergy, therapists, and other people. I'm not hiding as much, but this is the reason why I do my videos. I talk about stuff like that, and that's why comments are there. If people want to like it, if people want to comment, be my guest. If you're going to tell me I'm freaking crazy and I'm a nut bar, okay, I'll take that one too. Full an idiot. That's what I am. Full an idiot. Yeah, I just feel like I've seen too much in my lifetime, but I've seen other people going through a hell of a lot worse than me. I'm seeing more of it happening these days. I'm trying not to fall for all this kind of biblical stuff that people keep shoving on other people's throat. I've seen it. I'm seeing too much of it these days. And that's why I have to be careful of the things I'm going through, things I'm saying, and the people I'm hanging around with. Because I'm not quite so sure if you're going to be doing this kind of hook, line, and sucker on me. So that's why I talk a lot about my life. I talk a lot about what's going on in my own personal history here. Because I always know that there's going to be a boomerang effect on this one. There's going to be a boomerang effect. It always is. So I accept that. Sometimes I'll be walking around here without my head. Ah, popped off. There it goes. Multiple legs on the damn thing. It's doing another Cameron film on here. That movie called The Thing. John Carpenter in it. Kurt Russell was in that one. Ooh, man, did that gross me out. Alien thing with a head popped off and walking around with multiple legs. That thing scared the hell out of me back in the 80s. But I'm hanging in there. I've got relatives. They don't talk to me as much, but they're also busy with their own life too. That's that's some of the stuff I've also put out there on my videos. I mean, it's about 2 or 3 years worth of word salad to people left and right. But that's what I'm doing, Ian. So I'm hanging in there, pal. I'm hanging in there. Appreciating you chatting it up with me. Hardly anybody does, especially when I do the live chats. because sometimes I think there's something important to hear and say, and I have to get the word out what's going on. And right now, it is 3:25. My dog's still snoring. I'm going to get this opportunity to head back to sleep. I appreciate this. I really do, Ian. I really do appreciate this. I tried not to push my channel down people's throat. I've seen too many people out there wanting a hell of a lot of likes and a lot of shares to please the almighty YouTube algorithms out there. Okay, you like, you comment, cool. You share, even weirder. But I'm not looking for a huge audience. I can deal with a few people left and right, but if I'm getting a huge audience, I got to watch out for my own ego. That's one thing I noticed. People have a tendency of wanting more and more. And the thing that I keep learning about things that matter to me the most, it's not how many or how much or gargantuan amounts of things that I could achieve or want or bury me alive with. You're going to be burying me alive. No, thank you. I don't want to be buried alive. I'm not talking about just physical items. I'm talking about, like, I don't know. But you really gotta like me. I need this, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm really insecure if I'm going to start doing that. I get on my channel and I tell my story. I tell my story about my personal effects. I tell my story about the things I've gone through in my life. And there's going to be another video being put out there, probably in a little bit more detail. But I've also noticed that throughout my lifetime and in my travels, places that I used to like and used to go to, well, they're gone. They're gone for decades. And it hurts. And I have to move on that one. I'm not a good man. I'm a pain in the ass. I'm a rotten pain in the ass. I'm a fool and idiot half the time anyway. Sometimes I think I'm wiser than Sullivan. Not really. I've just seen too damn much, and seeing a lot, it scares the hell out of me. It does. So with that one, my friend, we shall part company temporarily until we find ourselves down the road again. Meantime, my mouth is getting toasty. My body's screaming for sleep, and I'm doing this insanity. What the hell's wrong with me? Anyway, you have a happy holiday. You keep it safe out there. And for me, I'll keep this with me at all times. Me and smoke don't mix. Bad for the lungs. All right, guys. Enough of this live stream. We'll do another one a little bit closer to the holiday season. I'll probably be moaning and groaning about how much this holiday season is going to kick my butt. Till that time, guys, stay safe. And if you're in Southern California, right by Malibu, get the hell out of there. Save yourselves.